Suppose I could get your drone back online.
Why not go get him yourself? Santa's got the toys.
Peace accords. Not allowed to go into the X unless there's evidence that the treaty has been broken.
So are you asking me to get the bot or to get you evidence?
Let's just see where the day takes us.
It was something that happened to me when I was reading the script and on a Zoom call with Joe and Anthony and my assistant. And I had read the script and I realized that I asked myself some questions about it. There's so much love in the movie, but when do we have the love of someone who doesn't love and just does his job and is ruthless and brutal, change to love? And so it was something that I, had some courage to suggest, that this was the one character I think can move from point A to point B and change his outlook. And I mentioned it, and they loved it. And they said, let's see if we can figure it out. And it's very different than a lot of directors I work with who say they have this certain vision and this is the way it's going to be. I wanted to be able to show that someone with a certain kind of thinking could graduate and could be someone, find his compassion, but it has to come out of a moment. And I thought that that moment was there, and they beautifully supported it, and we worked together to make it happen.
Well, yeah, exactly that is how do you, those ends don't justify the means. I disagree with the character. However, playing that character was difficult because you realize you have to be complete, you have to remove yourself from any real sense of humanity. He's a complete narcissist in the end. And so he's only focused on his own pain, not the actual pain of other people. So he thinks that everyone has experienced the pain that he has experienced, but they haven't. And if they have, then they need to figure out ways to move through it, as opposed to numbing themselves for the rest of their lives and never actually dealing with it. So narcissism is the key thing that drives him and ultimately is his undoing. No. I wouldn't, no.
Good answer.
No.
For me, I don't know if I take this path from the beginning, but I have such a strong correlation to this character that I draw on my life, from a couple of years in military school to doing what I'm told, to being an altar boy while I was in that military school, to commanding men. I have this feeling that, and the saying that you can't lead unless you can follow. So you learn your discipline through following, through observing. I would take this same path because the turnaround that Colonel Bradbury makes is a revelation. And I think it's an example and revelation for people that they can change. People always ask this question, do you think people can really change? And I believe that humans are intrinsically good. We're struggling with ourselves and wanting to control things and power and money and all these things, when none of that stuff is really anything that will ever fill us up to make us feel completely whole. And I think there's a big piece of this movie that depicts a lot of that in not only the robotic characters, but also in the drone-driven human characters that we can learn from. What makes us whole? I think it's connection. It's us. I tell my children, who are now in their 20s, is there a moment in time where you can validate yourself and not be ashamed of things you say? We're all going to stumble and make a mistake and all those things. But when you become mature enough not to have that be in your way, it becomes important to the life you live, because then you're authentically your authentic self. And I think one of the things that we both loved about this movie was Joe and Anthony are their authentic selves. And they're able to create because they've come from a place of really a clean slate, and they're not trying to forward their ego. They're trying to forward a story that they really believe in. So there's that first connection: belief, passion, standing behind something that really moves you. Then you can tell the story differently. And they did a gangbusters with this particular movie.